Hi friends, today at Garfin's Creation, we'll be making some royal icing flowers. With just a few nozzles, you can create a lot of varieties of flowers and leaves. So you can use them for decorating cakes, cookies, or even Easter eggs. So let's begin with it. I have used my eggless royal icing recipe for this today. I will share the recipe link for this at the end of the video and in the description box as well. To make some leaves, just add a little gel color into the royal icing and mix it well. I have used the leaf green shade. It's better to add the color with the toothpick so that you do not end up putting too much color. And the consistency of the royal icing should be a stiff peak like this. When you want to use many nozzles but in the same piping bag, you can use these cobblers. These are in two sizes and they are very easy and handy to use. Need to make a large hole into the icing bag so that one part of the cobbler goes through it from inside the bag, and then you add the nozzle over it. I'll be using the sleeve nozzle first, so that goes into the cobbler. To secure the nozzle, you just need to screw the other part over it. Now this is done, we have to just fill the icing bag with the royal icing. Though this is not necessary and you can directly add the nozzle to your piping bag. Since I'll be using two types of nozzles for showing the leaves, I have added the cobbler to the icing bag. Never leave your royal icing open, just close it or put it into a container. To demonstrate today, I'll be using these plastic sheets. You can use butter paper or directly do it onto your project. Squeeze in the bag and tighten it before you could start piping. Keep the nozzle pointed and press out the icing from it. Squeeze the piping bag so that the icing comes out and then stop and pull it out. So that way you would get a nice looking leaf. The more you press, the bigger and larger you get the leaf. So this is how it would look using this nozzle. The nozzle number is Noor 45. I'll be putting all the details in the description box below too. So you can continue making more of these leaves too. And now I'll be changing the nozzle and using another leaf nozzle. So you don't have to change the icing bag. All you have to do is just change the nozzle. The next nozzle I'm using is Noor 17, which is a small leaf. The technique for doing the leaves is the same. The more you press, the larger leaves you get, and if you just put little pressure, you get a smaller leaves too. You can prepare all these leaves and let them dry completely on the sheet or a baking paper, and then once they are dried, you can just collect them and put them into a box and use them later too. Or you can also pipe them directly wherever you want to. So you can check out how the leaves look with this nozzle too. You can also use this nozzle to make some pretty bows. You just need to press some extra icing in one place so that it forms a lovely bow. These bows would look much prettier in another color like pink or yellow too. Then using a toothpick or a brush, you can just shape it a little. Making some larger leaves with the same nozzle. And don't forget to wipe your nozzle in between too. So this is how they all look with this nozzle. You can still pipe up some leaves if you do not have any leaf nozzle as well. All you have to do is cut a V on top of the icing bag. This is my most preferred way of making leaves by just snipping off the piping bag from the top. If you do not have icing bags, you can make cones out of parchment paper as well. So let's try out some leaves with this way too. You get really beautiful shaped leaves with this method too. You can adjust the size of the leaves depending on the pressure, how much you apply. Smaller leaves, just a little pressure is enough. So you can see more closely how to place the tip of the icing bag in which position and then squeeze out to get perfect leaves even without the nozzles. You can squeeze out more icing to get bigger leaves, or cut the icing bag a little more bigger for bigger leaves. With just a little practice, you will be able to make them perfectly well. All that is important is the consistency of the royal icing. Use the royal icing with a stiff peak so that the design remains as it is even after it is dried. Next, to make some flowers, I have just added Burgundy gel color to the white royal icing to get this shade. Next, to make some tiny flowers, I'll be using this number 5 star nozzle from Noor. If your royal icing is soft and not holding its shape, you can add more icing sugar to make it stiffer. So do check out the royal icing video where I have explained the different types of consistency of royal icing. Before you could actually start piping, you can test some on the spatula itself. So now let's make those little small star flowers. I'm just pressing a little to get the tiny flowers. These flowers look cute as well. You can make them in various colors and let them dry and store them and use it. To add a little variation, you can just press the icing and just turn the icing bag round, so you'll get a swirl type of small flowers. It looks like the petals, and then you can use some sugar beads or some sprinkles or even some yellow icing for the center of the flower. The next flowers too are really cute, and I'll be using the Noor 13 number star nozzle. This nozzle too is very versatile. Besides making flowers, you can use it for borders as well. So I've pressed a little and you can see the shape of the flower that is going to be there. I'm just pressing a little to get the small size of the flower. These tiny flowers look good in white colors as fillers in big flower sprays too. You can also twist your icing bag and get beautiful petals for these flowers. Let the icing come out a little and still pressing the icing, keep twisting the icing bag. For this flower, you can do the double twist. As you keep pressing more, you get a little larger flowers. As you can see, with the same nozzle applying different amount of pressure, you get different types of flowers and even petals. So you can go on and color your icing in different colors and make lots of flowers of these and keep them. So if you do not like fondant or gum paste flowers, do try this royal icing flowers. With the same nozzle, just trying a border pattern which you can use on your Easter eggs as well. Next, making some rose with this petal nozzle. It's 11 number nozzle from Noor itself, and you can make lots of flowers with this as well. Besides that, you need a rose nail and some papers. I'm just using a little icing so that the paper sticks to it and does not move while we ice the rose. You can also use a double-sided tape on it so that the paper stays in place. To make it the center of the rose, I just piped out some icing. Now we'll have to use the broader side down and the thinner side of the tip on top. Just turn the rose nail to make the first layer round the center and then start piping the individual petals around it. You can also make the rose shaded by filling 2 colors of icing into the piping bag. Now we'll continue making the petals by just overlapping it from the previous one and taking it forward. You can continue making this to the desired size. You can add more petals to make larger roses. Just a little practice and you'll be able to do this rose perfectly well. Besides this flower petal nozzle, there are other larger nozzles as well where you can make much bigger roses. Also get the curved ones for more frilly effect for the petals. For the bigger roses, you'll need to make the base of the rose also a little bit thicker. That is the center of the flower what we had piped first. So once this flower is done, we can just keep it at the side and add another piece of paper over it. Now we'll continue and make a smaller rose bud in the same way. Do keep squeezing the icing bag to tighten it so that you get a good hold over the icing bag. It's also necessary to add small quantity of icing into the bag so that you can hold the icing bag comfortably. If you fill the icing bag full, it might tend to come out from the top as well. So this is just a small bud with few petals. And now let's make once more with the same technique. Here, as you can see, I've made the base, that is the center of the rose, and then just using smaller petals to cover it. And as we go further, we just make the petals a little longer so that they overlap each other. Just start a little inside from the previous petal. You can just correct it a little with your fingers or even with the brush. There are lots of many different varieties of flowers you can do with this just one nozzle. However, in this video, I just tried to show a little bit of what I know. We'll surely try to make another video in the future as well. Using the same nozzle, we'll just create another rose bud. Just squeeze out some and then create some side petals overlapping it. Just do the same from the other side as well. You can add more petals to make a larger flower or just stop here to make it look like a rose bud. So this rose flower is going to be flat on one side. And after this, you can just add some calyx to it with the green royal icing. You can also add some leaves directly onto it. And you can remove any excess if you find the calyx a little bigger. Just remove it out. Or you can also adjust it with a toothpick. You can also make a little stem from it. You can use any royal icing here, the one with egg or without the egg as well. I'll put the links for both the recipes in the description box below. So now this is done and you can let this get dried completely. Some time back, I had also made these rosettes with this 5-number Noor nozzle. To get the rosettes, just turn the nozzle round and you get these cute little flowers. So do try these as well. Once these have been done, I will let them dry up. This will take time to get completely dried, and once they are dried, they'll become nice and hard, so you can store them for quite a long time. This will take around 5-6 hours to get completely nicely dried and hard. So give them sufficient time to harden up before you could start removing it out from the plastic. Once these are dried, you can just peel them out from the plastic or from the baking sheet, or also run a sharp knife below them. The thinner and smaller ones will take less time as compared to the larger ones. So you can prepare all your flowers well in advance and let them dry out, and then store them in boxes and use them wherever you want to. You may also pipe the leaves directly after you have placed the flowers. So that way it will look more natural and will also fill in the gaps that is there in between the flowers. And you can see once they are dried hard, they are strong enough. So just give them sufficient time so they dry up well. Another benefit of drying it well, it will not get any fungus too later. So I've just arranged a little of the flowers and the leaves, just an idea for you to know how to use them. So now you can stick them wherever you want with some royal icing. I hope you like this video, how to make these flowers and leaves too. Do share it with someone who would be interested in making them. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to Garfin's Creation for more such videos. I'll see you soon in the next video. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.